everybody, and welcome to Ukraine Update here on the Shills, where it's Aviation Day in Ukraine. So, good news on F-16s in the country. Sad that one's lost already, along with a pilot, unfortunately. But Aviation Day it is. So thanks for joining us. We've got Yenna in from Project Constantine. Hey, Yenna.
Hey,
We've
guys.
got Greg Terry in from the Greg Terry Experience.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We've got Secular Sakai in from Tridents Against Tyrants.
Hello.
And we've got Slavi in from her channel. Slavi Yashenko. You say it back. I'll screw it up.
Yarochenko.
Thank you. We got Commander McMillan in, retired U.S. Navy. Hey, buddy.
Howdy.
And we've got Phil Ettner on the edge, the podcast supreme and Mr. News himself. How's it going, Phil?
Good. If I had known that we were going to get power back right before starting the show, I would have done it from the studio. But we've been running on, as lots of folks probably know, we got hit really hard on Monday. And we've gone back to limited electricity. And it takes a lot to light the studio because we have all the dark soundproofing in there. So generally, when we're kind of playing with whether or not we're going to have electricity or not, I do it from home because I can just do a ring light and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, good to be here. Good to have power. We got Olga of Kiev with her fairy lights on, so we know we got power. She's the one that tells me if we have power or not. With her little fairy lights. She's my icon now. She's the one when we get power back. She's the first thing that goes, and I'm like, and then I run around like a maniac.
How do you know you have power? No, Olga told me.
All my batteries. Yeah, Olga told me. And then I run around plugging in all my batteries, so I immediately start recharging. That's how we live. That's how we're living in Kiev.
Yeah, man, definitely. Those were some big hits. So, week's events. What's on your mind? Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, there's so much.
Indeed.
I mean, I think there is the Monday attack. That was intense. I was probably the heaviest barrage that I've been witness to in Kiev because I wasn't here. I was in Lviv at the beginning of the full-scale invasion, the 22nd, or sorry, February of 22. But I was here for New Year's, not just past, but the one before, where we got really pelted on that day as well. And Monday was on par with that. And it was intense. I mean, it was a lot of air defense going up, Patriots working their magic, which is always impressive to see. I got a couple of photographs that I kind of been reluctant to publish because it might, give away targeting information and things like that. But
right.
I think I'm probably safe by now to do it. But a lot of air defense, a lot of incoming. It sucked. It was a bad day. And then ever since then, we've had electrical issues.
Yeah.
We're back to rationing of electricity, which is really difficult.
Yeah, they love going at the grid, don't
so
they?
There's that. There's Monday. Yeah, there's Monday. And then, of course, Monday was also during that intense attack where we had the F-16s in the air providing an air defense role. And I guess, this is sadly losing a pilot in a plane because of it. And it does look like it was blue on blue, which is, military nomenclature for... It looks like they shot their own plane down. It looks like it's more likely than not it was a Patriot that took out the F-16, which is just, of course, heartbreaking. Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it's resulted with the sacking of the air commander. So, somebody had to get it in the neck for that, and I guess Zelensky decided. That's how it's going to go. So it's unfortunate, but bad news all around.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a shame it had to happen.
We talked about Kharkiv from yesterday. I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Is Lavrov dead?
that's an interesting
That
one
rumor
right
mill.
there as well.
You mean the sad
Yes.
horse?
that rumor mill.
Yeah.
What's that?
You mean the sad horse?
Yeah.
Uh,
He is I've met him a few times.
Yeah.
My
I
condolences.
was, yeah.
Hey, I will say this, guys in the
Weird
chat.
guy.
I understand your concerns about propaganda, but on this one, you need to listen to Phil and myself. The plane was shot down by Ukraine.
Yeah.
Period. It's not propaganda.
More, yeah,
Here.
yeah.
We're here. I know for a fact.
Ops. Well, yeah, as do I. But OPSEC being what it is.
I know, but I don't want people to misunderstand because these are wonderful people in here. This was not propaganda. We're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And we're here. I've been for 40 hours running aid on the front lines, and I'm telling you, that's what happened, unfortunately.
Greg, are you out at
with
East or are you in the
IFF?
capital?
Having worked with
Well,
IFF, it's important to
You stay
understand
tight.
that the signal from the IFF transponder, it's only a little like signal that comes in on the icon on the radar screen, and you have mere seconds to notice it and not fire. It doesn't turn off the missile in mid-flight.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
some
No,
operator overstressed easily could have missed that.
I'm in Ukraine, Phil. I'm down in the south.
Stay safe, bud.
I've been running aid all
Um,
week. I've been hanging across in Caracas.
Okay, man. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Hey, Commander. Yeah, I mean, this is not my intel. I'm not that sophisticated when it comes to this kind of stuff. But somebody who knows far more about this than I do said that one of the techniques when you're trying to take out a cruise missile is to fall in behind it, match its speed, and take it out that way. And for somebody who's running air defense, if an aircraft comes in behind a cruise
Right
missile,
behind it, yep.
in order to
This is
that-
the good guy.
right,
this is the bad
exactly.
guy. Well,
Facing
maybe
it.
this is
Right.
easy to
And so what might very well have happened, and again, we'll in due course maybe we'll know the full story. But because they were at pace with one another, and the F-16 was trying to knock out a third cruise missile because he'd already taken out two apparently. It's the analysis is, and again, we'll know the full story in due time. But no, Greg's right. I mean, it's as depressing as it is, it does look like it was blue on blue.
Yeah.
It happens, man.
It
You know,
does. It
more
happens
than
to
that.
every single military there is as well, right?
It's just going to be a lot of attention on it. Typical training, as correct me if I'm wrong, Commander, but is 36 months for an F-16 pilot, American English reader, American systems trained. It's 36 months to have a F-16 in the air, and we put them in the air in 18 months. And it's just,
Greg, it's probably the same kind of training length of time for the operator of that Patriot system
that's
too.
exactly right. So these guys, they are highly skilled, and unfortunately, we did lose an extremely good pilot. But it's still, it's war, it's pressure. They're chasing missiles. It's what happens. It's just very unfortunate. But hey, we'll recover.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Sadly,
It happened. It could have happened. It happens to everybody, unfortunately.
oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is extremely unfortunate, not just from the loss of life and loss of a pilot, skilled soldier, but also I'm assuming in terms of PR for, in Washington, D.C. for more equipment to be sent. But, these kinds of things do happen in war. And of course, if we really look at it over the course of the last 2 years, there have been much bigger blunders from the enemy side. So this is something Ukraine will recover from.
Yeah, good point.
I've seen it in every war I've ever covered.
Yeah.
It always happens. So Iraq, so in Afghanistan, it's there's a lot of stuff going on in a war, and when you're dealing with instant reaction time, split-second reactions, and just the fog and chaos of war. I don't think this is. Nobody should take this as any kind of, bad reflection on the Ukrainian armed forces. It's just,
Agreed. Totally.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times people don't understand how much stuff is in the air on the mass attacks.
Mm.
When you're when you're looking at 100 Shaheeds roaming around, flying around, running radar, running distraction, trying to hit targets, and then you're throwing up different class caliber missiles from a traditional caliber to a Kinjal. The sky is, I mean, it's incredibly
Very
difficult.
bad Christmas
It's
tree.
incredibly
Yeah.
difficult for Ukraine to defend the air with the stuff that they have, and they're doing a great job in general on especially these mass attacks.
Lava
Yeah.
Ukraini in chat actually said something, and I would like to hear the people who actually know things about this, because I don't. But said that the air defense guys also haven't had to account for F-16s in the air at the same time as this. So do you guys think that would also like play a role? Because obviously the pilots were trained and everything, but I think it's a different thing when you have your air defense and your pilots working together.
Well,
It could be. It could
yeah.
be a situation where literally 10 seconds after dude shot it, they got a note saying, no, you don't be shooting there because that's where our plane is. Like, I don't know, but I mean, you only need 3 seconds, right?
Well,
That's the key. You said 10. It's not 10. It's closer to 3.
Yeah.
oh, and also I wanted to ask Commander and Phil, if you're familiar, for defense against missiles, the scenario you guys were just describing, where you're matching the pace of the missile and taking it out, has that been a common tactic used with aircraft in the air from Ukraine's side through the whole course of the war, or has that been something that waiting for F-16s to do that more frequently?
For air-to-air engagements, in other words, planes against planes that are maneuvering, as opposed to a cruise missile that's basically flying straight. It depends on what kind of weapon you're trying to use to engage the target, because a radar homing missile, you shoot at the front aspect of the enemy aircraft as he's approaching you. If you're engaging from behind with either guns or a heat-seeking missile, cross shots are possible but very difficult to accomplish, so people don't try to set those up. It's just like an accident that it happens, and you pull the trigger at no time. So it's hard to say what's going on with that in this scenario. I suspect what happened is the guy is carrying 2 radar homing missiles, which he used to take out the first 2 missiles, still had either guns or a heat-seeking missile, tried to come in to take out the third from behind, and as somebody was pointing out, if you get in close enough, the radar blips on the screen for the Patriot operator can start to merge, and it gets really confusing to see what's going on.
Is there?
It's a tragedy all around.
Would there be a distance limit as well? Like, you don't fly in any more than this because then it's our job to turn it away or something like.
Theoretically, yes. But if you've got a good integrated air defense network, that's not typically the case. Your pilots could be able to close, because theoretically your ground control people can let the air defense batteries on the ground know, no, don't engage that target. But as people have noted, we're talking about a target-rich environment, so there's potentially 100 plus targets, including friendly aircraft, swarming around up there.
Right.
It's ridiculously easy to get confused.
It definitely sounds it.
Let me, given that we've had a few days since Friday,
Mhm.
Let me see if I can show you. Here we go. That was off my balcony. That is about 90 seconds, give or take.
What? 1 second here. It makes it a nightmare for me to show screen shares. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah.
Then. I won't.
Oh, I can get it up.
I won't bother.
Yeah.
It's a clear blue sky with two puffs of white smoke, where probably they had hit something and then extended. The Patriots, because I'm watching them, and as sad as it is that they knocked out the F-16, they defended us. The Patriots knocked out a lot of stuff on Monday and were very effective. That's about 90 seconds after the impact, because I was sheltering in place. Heard the explosions, went out with my camera because I'm an idiot, and took that snapshot. And it's and we've seen other video now also from Monday of the Patriots striking through whatever it is they were trying to hit, either a cruise missile or a drone. But it'll strike through. It blows up what it's hitting, and then the munition will continue a little bit farther, and then it also detonates. It self-detonates. And I think that's what I've captured there is two Patriots, because they streak out in volleys. Right. And I think what I've got there is a result of two Patriot missiles that had hit its target and then self-detonated afterwards. Because that's if it had been the actual drone, it would be. I think it probably would have been a darker color, because you would have had combustibles in there and all sorts of other stuff. But I'll defer to the commander about that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was the difference. So it's not all bad news about the Patriots. I mean, thank God we had the Patriots.
Yeah,
because, they knocked out a lot of stuff on Monday.
Yeah, it was a big defensive wall, so to speak, right? Absolutely. Let's see here. Where else do we want to go? There's a bunch of things to get through.
I had something related to move toward a lighter note, or rather, I guess for Ukraine, a more positive note. Did anyone hear about the drone that Lukashenko's soldiers shot down? That was a Russian drone within where was it? Hostomel? Or no, I'm sorry. Where was it? It was in one of the regions of Belarusian airspace.
Oh,
east of Minsk, I believe.
Yeah, east of Minsk. And I was seeing a few articles about that, and it was an analyst, a Ukrainian analyst, I believe, who was saying that he's pretty certain that Lukashenko will be getting a phone call from Putin.
Yeah, there's somebody at the door that wants to take you to an open window.
The view from the only skyscraper in Minsk is beautiful. Come watch with me.
Yeah.
I think his son needs a couple more years on him before they can get rid of Sasha. But
yeah.
Early 20s now.
Yeah. Almost ready to
daddy to.
Yeah, give it the old North Korea switch.
Yeah. Well, suddenly develop an intense lead allergy.
Here's some additional news, and let me orient my stuff so I can read it and control my volume.
Just Cheryl, just on that point you said with Belarus shooting down the drone. Cheryl just said Belarus is doing a better job protecting Ukrainian skies than Poland.
That's a pot shot.
Ouch. It hurts because it's true.
Yeah.
That hits.
I just keep waiting for the day that Russia's so obsessed with buffer zones. I keep hoping for a day that Svetlana, from the opposition to Lukashenko.
Tikhanovskaya.
Yep, that she and her affiliates possibly have their own buffer zone somewhere in southern Belarus.
Buffer zone?
Yeah. Not that kind of buffer zone, Dick.
Just making
All right,
sure.
So, some other news that I've got here. Comeback Alive Foundation delivers advanced signal intelligence system to Ukrainian intelligence. So, the Comeback Alive Foundation has purchased a new signal intelligence system from an undisclosed NATO country, it looks like. This is from Militarny. The charitable foundation stated the system has already been handed over to the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine, and the cost of the new effective electronic intelligence system transferred is 18,808,785 hryvnia. Quote,
dollars.
How much is, I hadn't converted that, but
That would be about, give me the sum again. It's about 40 to 1.
18,800,000 approximate hryvnia.
Yeah, so about a little over $500,000. No joke.
Okay. Pretty good. Your donations made it possible to purchase a military-grade EW system, electronic warfare system, in one of the NATO countries and deliver it to the Special Forces of the Defense Intelligence of Ukraine. This system allows detecting and identifying enemy UAVs and tracking their route. It even allows us to show the location of the enemy drone operator, the Foundation said.
Cool.
Using this system, DIU specialists can identify which frontline areas the enemy is closely monitoring for potential future attacks and which areas receive less attention. So, Commander, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I'm not actually as familiar with this particular system. But
it sounds like an electric version of "Don't light too many cigarettes off that match."
Kind of. It's what's called electronic surveillance. So what they're doing is intercepting the transmitted signal both from the operator to the drone and from the drone back to the operator. So in real time, it can track the drone flying, but it also can identify where that operator is on the ground. And if they can set up a coordinated system, in theory, a Storm Shadow missile might just happen to land on where that drone operator is. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I find it very interesting. It doesn't disclose which country, and I'm assuming that's for OPSEC reasons. But it does say here that compared to domestic Ukrainian counterparts, this system is more accurate and allows for detecting 3 to 4 times more drones.
Yep.
Cool.
So, nice.
Yeah. Right.
Cool.
Cool. Tying in off of that, there's been a lot of kerfluffle going on within NATO about use of NATO weapons against targets inside Russia. And so some countries are saying, oh, yeah, feel free to use our stuff that we give you to shoot at them. And others are saying no. Some are even trying to demand that NATO tell the ones that have said yes to change their ruling and say no. Italy being a case in point. Italy said, yeah, we're giving you Storm Shadows, but you can't use them inside Russia.
Right.
And we don't want anybody else's Storm Shadows used inside Russia either.
Italy's a very interesting case politically on this, because when you look at Meloni and her government, obviously there are other factors in play, but you would expect them to be saying things more along the lines of Orban and his government in Hungary, but I don't know. They're trying to stay on the EU's good side, I guess, for right now. Yeah. But
they have in the government, because I talked to a couple of Italians yesterday, and they said they have a couple of kind of Russian shields and like really high up. There's 2 that are in that government that are.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see there being a long game, because right now speaking out against Ukraine during the conflict, or too much support for Russia from a couple of those shills, could cause problems for them domestically. But yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to go into the weeds of it, because anyone who's familiar will say Italian politics is extremely confusing, and that's saying something for most of
The
Europe.
only thing I would add to that is that you have to remember that Italy has had, since World War II, at least part of Italy has had very close ties with Russia.
Yeah.
They had a very strong communist party. Many of the partisans that fought in northern Italy against the fascists during World War II were communist backed, not Western backed.
Look at Fiat and Lada and the whole transfer of technology and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's entirely conceivable that these people are just maintaining old loyalties. And so you're having a lot of argument within Italy itself about yes, no, and it's more domestic politics than it is international politics in some ways.
I feel like arguing is I anyone who's watching who's Italian, I love your country, I do. But when it comes to their politics, I feel like arguing and getting nowhere is the inherent state of Italian politics.
It's the national sport. It's more exciting than, say, football or whatever.
Yeah.
But the general public in Italy is very upset that the Italian government is not letting Ukraine. So that's very good to hear.
Oh, precisely. No, it's kind of like I think the best comparison I can think of is like Slovakia. Slovakia has some key people in their government who are pro-Russian shills, unfortunately, but you do still have people in Slovakia who are very pro-Ukraine. Same thing with Bulgaria, although it's kind of
Greece.
A unique. Yeah, Greece.
There's
Exactly.
some issues in Greece.
I think that's going to be true of any former pact nation.
Warsaw Pact.
There is some good news on this front, however, is that Defense Minister Umerov is in, or he may not still be there, but he's been in D.C. and again he may still be there. I don't know if he's returning or not, but he carried with him a list of things that the Ukrainians say they want to hit. And I am hearing whispers and rumors of whispers that the Americans have kind of taken on this list and said, yeah, you can hit this. Yeah, you can hit this. Yeah, you can hit this. So we'll see.
What's his nuts from the Netherlands there just said, we don't care where you fly those jets. Fly them across the border and use them for what you want. I love it, man. Yeah.
You read my mind,
the Dutch.
But
I love the
there's
Dutch.
a slight issue with that. The F-16's American made, and the end user agreement requires the U.S. to buy off on what they do with that.
Oh, for the love of...
Well, these might be connected.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Umerov might be in D.C. right now saying, here's our list of things we want to hit.
Yeah,
We want to use Dutch F-16.
Americans are also kind of advocating for not letting England to let Ukraine strike inside Russia. And it's Americans that are doing it.
Like
Very
American.
schizophrenic, the Americans right now.
Americans are telling England to not let Ukraine strike inside Russia.
Do you mean
not use Storm Shadow.
Not use the Storm Shadows.
Right.
Within the government, you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
America is very schizophrenic right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
Well,
I was just
It's
going
going
to
to be
say,
until November.
Exactly. You need about 30 days after the election for everybody to calm down and sober up, and then you might actually get something more coherent and, right, Commander?
Yes, absolutely.
But we knew this year was going to be a shit show. We knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what? I want to bring something
Well,
up.
let's hope it's not 30 days. Let's hope we actually have a result of the election promptly. I mean, I know that the Trump team clearly wants to drag it out into the courts and drag out the election result until they can settle it either in Congress or in the courts. But if we get an immediate if we have a normal election,
oh
boy, fingers
we
crossed.
can only hope.
They'll know
Easter
immediately.
Bunny and Santa Claus are real.
I know. But let's say we do have within a week a clear winner. in the best of all worlds, we have, the election goes through, and actually they'll know the second they know what direction America is going to go. It'll change the posture here, because they'll,
I hope so.
They'll know what they'll know what the future lies. Everything now is. It feels like everybody in the country right now. Greg, I don't know. You seeing it down there as well? That's kind of like everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's always kind of like, what are the Yanks going to do?
I have to be careful what I say there, Phil, because I have a different perspective completely. I'm on the ground, and if I start to tell you guys stuff, it may seem negative, even though it's not. It's just reality.
Mhm.
The bottom line is the Ukrainian army is pissed off that they're in Kursk because we're getting ready to lose
I've heard
Pokrovsk. No, it's a
Mhm.
fact.
Right.
It is a disaster in Pokrovsk. It will fall within weeks. It's gone. And it is a horrible mistake on the Ukrainian army. And the East and the South is pissed. Because the world is running around, jumping up and down, how great we're doing in Kursk. And I extracted a guy who laid on the field for 4 days with 2 broken legs because we couldn't move him 200 meters.
Oh, wow.
But we're rolling in Kursk, and they are pissed. So if you want to know the truth, there it is.
Mm.
Happy, don't misunderstand me, happy. But we are losing Pokrovsk because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the gateway to support Kramatorsk and Slavyansk. It is the gateway to push down above Krakow, which we are losing as well. You can look at your map all day long and say, well, Tourette's, New York, I can already tell you Tourette's, it's gone. It's gone. I'm with the drone operators 4 days ago watching Tourette's. There is no Tourette's. It is leveled to the earth. But we're in Kursk.
Right.
So you're going to hear some. Listen, I earned my official Ukrainian army uniform. They pulled it and gave it right to me and says, you deserve this for what you're doing down here helping us. This is what we're hearing.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, it's valid. I was in Pokrovsk. I'm down here on the south right now. The south is a disaster. Everybody's gone. Every lake is. Do you guys remember Novokakhovka?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
I'm going to be putting out a video tomorrow about the effects of Novokakhovka. Southern Ukraine is an ecological disaster.
Yep.
And not one word about it. The lakes are gone. The rivers are dried up. There is no farm. They have what they slang call it as a cherry crop, meaning everything, even potatoes, are this big.
Wow.
Greg, I saw some stuff on it.
But we're in Kursk.
Right.
I did see
Okay.
some Ukrainian stuff on it, Greg, and they said the effects of the Novokakhovka Dam actually were good, and that there's a lot of areas that are green.
Propaganda. It's dry as a bone. Watch my video tomorrow. I'm walking in the Sahara Desert.
Really? Because it came from Ukraine. You like Ukrainians.
It's wrong.
Interesting.
I'll show
Trying
you.
to-
the
Okay.
Okay.
And you don't think they'll?
I-
You think
listen to me.
Pokrovsk goes down in weeks?
Pokrovsk is gone. We already knew it 2
I
months ago.
accept that. Yeah. I know. But you don't. You think it will be a swift defeat in Pokrovsk? They will
Absolutely.
not stand and fight for it.
Absolutely.
Well, they've
I can tell you
they've
that- I can
relocated
tell you
some of their best up to Kursk.
That Phil from experience being in these cities. I was in Bakhmut, Chasiv Yar.
Yeah.
Backside
Yep,
of
same
Avdiivka. I've been all of them. Pokrovsk is different. Guys, they evacuated like crazy. Everything is gone. I know you'll see news articles, 38,000 people still.
Civilian or military, or both.
Civilians are gone and military is
Yeah.
pulling back. It's common knowledge.
So it'll be
Wait,
It's common
so
knowledge.
the
Wait,
common
so-
lights at Kramatorsk.
so
Your supply road is now cut, or will be. It's already cut, to be quite honest. Nobody can ride on it anymore because even the military doesn't ride on it. because of FPV. They're 5 and 6 kilometers from it. They're smashing it nonstop with MLRS and FPV. So I understand. And listen, don't misunderstand me, please, people. Please. It's good. We show what we can do in Kursk. But guys, the Eastern Front and the South is really bad. I'm sorry to tell you that.
No, yeah.
Well, Britain held on to Ulster. The empire still fell. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
They listen. This has just been a compilation of the entire world. Let's just, and to be very fair to everybody, it's been a compilation of lack of supply, but that's only a part of it, guys. It's been a compilation of a country that is breaking free from Soviet mindset, and they are doing a good job of it, but they still have to break through a lot of that. And when you're dealing with commanders that are 50 years old and above, oh, today's my birthday, by the way, I'm 52.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
But when you're breaking through all of that, it just takes time. And Ukraine is having to do all of this while fighting a war on their own territory and having intermittent supply and having some promises fulfilled, others unfulfilled or broken. You know, there's and Phil, I know you'll know this. You're the only one in the panel here that's in Ukraine right now. The pressure inside Ukraine right now, especially the further you go east and south, it is immense. It's immense. And I mean,
a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety.
I was 7 kilometers from the Kursk bush. And even the guys up there, they were happy about it. Please, folks, don't misunderstand me. They were happy about it. But their thoughts are about the guys laying down that are wounded and they can't get them.
Yeah.
And they're going, couldn't we take some of these resources and get our guys off the battlefield? Couldn't we have some more artillery rain down so we could medevac?
Mm-hmm.
We got, so it's really tough right now. And then, guys, you know, we haven't even mentioned it. And we haven't even mentioned it. But Slavy's home city of Kharkiv, 98 wounded, 6 dead, a lady burned alive in her apartment, her last wave out of the window. Then she burned to death. Playgrounds, 22 children wounded. It's in Slavy. It was in the industrial region. And
wow.
It's real.
It was Saltivka.
Real bad. Yeah, it's.
But I mean, as I understand, there's still Kharkiv doesn't have a Patriot system.
No.
I don't want to keep commenting. Right now, it's a challenge. They don't.
Yeah.
I
This
know
is Ukraine's
I think
second largest
Odessa
city.
has one now.
Yeah.
I think Odessa has one now.
But
Yeah,
this
these
is
phone
Ukraine's
batteries
second
down.
largest city, Kharkiv.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Mhm.
Let me just say something to somebody in the chat there. Broppy, that's not what I'm saying. You misunderstood me, friend. I didn't say it was a waste. I'm just telling you how soldiers feel.
I got a couple of shout outs I want to get in, but Greg, is there anybody in military circles hopeful that the Kursk incursion can be a bargaining tool, like, or you know, how does anybody even see this playing out, like, without giving up the ghost and yada yada, right? You know,
No, they're the guys I talk to, which is all frontline commanders and soldiers, and
yeah.
I was sitting 2 days ago, right above Robotny, with battalion commander, and just happy about it, but it's not going to bring a negotiating thing to the table for what's happening in southern and eastern Ukraine right now. What people do not understand, maybe, or need to understand, Vladimir Putin doesn't care about Kursk. He doesn't care about it.
Doesn't seem to.
No, he doesn't.
Well, what about the
care.
missiles that Palenitsa that's gonna bring into Kursk and start shooting at Russia?
Time will tell.
Okay.
I know all about that, but time will tell. Right now, guys, my deep concern is I'm on the front lines right now, and I'm watching a guy with both legs blown off.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get him off the battlefield for 4 days.
That'd
That's
be a
the
tough
story that's
situation
not
to be in.
That's the story that's
And
not
I
out.
think you're right. I don't think Putin, right now, Putin doesn't care. But it's, his whole power structure is based on we will not return to the chaos of the 90s. That was the deal. That was the implicit deal that he made with the Russian people. We won't, to have Ukrainian. I mean, if you catch on to, what's going on Russian Telegram, what's going on even openly in Russian mass media. Skabaeva had a hell of a show like 3 days ago. And I get where I 100% understand where you're coming from, and I'm sure those soldiers are.
Well, now, listen,
it's very real. It's very, very fucking real. But
it's real.
The death of the empire is the goal here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because Ukraine will never be free. Ukraine will never be free.
Where I agree with you completely, but this is where I 1,000,000% agree with Starsky. That will happen internally.
Yes,
that will happen internally, and right now, to better facilitate that happening internally, Ukraine. I'm thankful for what happened in Kursk. Okay, I'm thankful. We're flexing some muscle, but I don't want it to happen at the expense of losing Pokrovsk.
Right.
And man, you guys, I'm telling you, Pokrovsk is important.
So, Greg, I would 100% agree with you. Pokrovsk being incredibly important, and just looking at the map the last couple of weeks, the red color on Deep State map encroaching closer to Pokrovsk faster than it had been for a long while. I would 100% hear where you're coming from. With Ukrainian armed forces doing what they can to prepare right now, though, because I know that a while back, and the situation is still not good near Chasiv Yar, but Chasiv Yar, when I look at the map, it doesn't show as having completely fallen, right?
No,
yeah. So, I mean, is this a situation? I just recall we talked about this a while back about Chasiv Yar being in a similar situation, and it was able to stabilize. So, I mean, I'm not doubting what you're saying, but do we have real concern it's going to happen extremely fast, or possibly it'll stabilize like Chasiv Yar did?
By September 30th, it'll be gone, and you can watch this video in 30 days.
Is that bad? No trenches, no defenses set up, all flat?
There are no defense lines between Pokrovsk and the red line right now. On the backside of Pokrovsk.
Let me jump in here, guys, and get a few super chat shout outs and whatnot done. So we're all caught up here on acknowledging those that help and whatnot, right? So Dunk on You, beginning of the show, there's gifting out memberships. Thank you very much, Dunk on You. We've got Pethro Olsen in with a super chat. Swedish krona, 129 of them, no less, with love to Ukraine. Thank you very much, Petra. Taste de la Kula Kuna. I'm not sure if I got it right that time or not. Glory to Ukraine. Love it. Love it. Hey, MJ became a shill apprentice. Thanks, MJ. Niles G came in with, I think it's a membership renewal. So thank you. Thank you. Armored Rabatha Master, Swedish kroner, 129 as well. That seems to be a very common thing for the Swedes. Fuel, coffee, and love to Greg for the hard work. Oh, we'll make sure it gets sent over. He's a busy man indeed. We have Dunk on You 23 did a direct stream elements tip for $20. Howdy, keep up the great work. We'll do everything we can to be as supportive as we can. And I think that catches me up. I did want to bring up there was a talking point that I'm trying to remember as I babble and try not to do hum and haw and whatnot here. But I think I forgot, and I'm going to have to regroup. There was a couple of questions though from people in the viewership there. Kamo had asked, "Will Putin end up arrested in Mongolia?" Anybody?
I heard about that. I actually discussed it a little on my stream earlier, and it's a political request. It's not going to happen, but at the same time, Mongolia's got this unique situation where they're externally viewed as a bit more democratic, less autocratic compared to Russia and China, but they're landlocked right between Russia and China. And if they did do that, I'm pretty sure it would trigger either a major hybrid warfare operations or a direct invasion of Mongolia.
Yeah, that could happen.
Which is a very weird flip from how the invasion went historically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, there's no golden horde this time around.
Let me give you some good news.
Yeah.
Y'all want some good news?
Please.
Always nice.
We've got amazing heroes on the front line. Amazing. I was in just south of Kupiansk, north of Borova, where Russia's pushing. We're just a couple kilometers from there. And tomorrow I will try to post the video of the 77th Airborne, where we dropped some aid. And the guys were so thankful because what we were dropping is exactly what they needed. And they said, you just instantly made us better fighters. And when they said you, it's just Jane and I standing there, but that means you all, everybody here on the Shills and a part of all of our communities are supporting, supplying them with sugar cubes and antennas and these batteries. And there was an engineer there that we met, and he is, I gave him the call sign Botanic. Okay. So I just call him Nerd. And it's not his call sign, but when I met him, the dude was so stinking smart. Like he's breaking down electronics, and Jane and I are there and go, okay, we're bringing some batteries for you to try. And he goes, listen, we've tried them all. We tried the antennas all, because this was the first time we were able to come and support the 77th. And we said, well, you try them anyway. 24 hours later, we got a call back, and he said, okay, I don't know who's programming your batteries and making your antennas, and it's our team here in Khmelnytsky. We've got some serious. The electrical engineer for this entire region is on our team. He is a freaking genius. He reprograms batteries, everything, all these antennas. He's the guy doing it. He's a freak of nature. But Botanic messaged us back 24 hours later and goes, I don't know who's doing that stuff for y'all, but that is the best battery combo antenna system I've ever seen. You're already saving lives. We will take as many as you can provide us. And it just blew them away. And we've been dropping those antennas and batteries all along the front line, and we're producing more and more. So that's really good. The guys are getting better equipment. And I did one interview with a guy, and I don't know if I've shown it yet because I'm OPSECing everything a little bit behind when I do it. Mm-hmm. And hopefully I should be back at my home base Monday to do a live on Monday. But tomorrow I'm dropping some videos, and the guy said, Greg and Jania, the Cat 7s you give us save lives, but to be completely honest, your batteries and antennas are saving more lives than Cat 7s because we're able to communicate and avoid the need for the Cat 7 tourniquet. And it's really good. So there's a lot of positivity there, and that's all along the entire front line. I can tell you that our drone teams that are fighting over in the east, Tourette's, New York, all of that line there, Siversk, they're doing a really, really good job, and very thankful for how we're able to support them with the same stuff. So these are positive messages I want everybody to hear, from a soldier. I don't know if everybody, some may have seen the live stream or not, how we were able to support WASP. WASP was trying to finish a project, $1,800 for these real life dummies for training medics and soldiers how to save lives. And for 4 months, he had tried to raise $2,000. He had raised 200, and in I think 56 minutes we raised the 1,800. But in reality, it's over 3,500 we raised. So we're going to finish his entire project, be delivering it to him, and in addition to that, also supplying him with other things that he needed that we didn't talk about on stream. So everybody's going to see that. So that's good. The world's coming together and helping these guys. They are so encouraged by humanity. If there's no other positive message I can give you guys right now, you need to hear this. And I know Galina's in the chat. I know she's in the chat, or she was, but please hear this. They literally read these chat messages. They do watch these videos when they're back in their place where they're resting. And when they see people in here, Slava Ukraine, we love Ukraine, stand with Ukraine, support Ukraine, it is extremely encouraging to them. And we pass those messages, and they pass them back. Please tell everybody we appreciate. Without you, we would really be struggling. And I want everybody here to know that working through all these YouTube channels together, we basically have become, in general, the only places, and not just us, but I mean other channels as well that are supporting Ukraine. It's not so much in the mainstream media anymore. It's here with us.
Very much so. We have a big torch to carry right now, my friend.
And additionally to that, the care that organizations like all of ours do, Project Constantine, ours, all of you guys that support NAFO, all these, it is the most important support they get. I know you'd say, well, it'd be better to have 1,000 Patriots. It probably would, but I'm telling you, the support they get personally motivates them and encourages them. And if the world can step up, the government systems, then that will be the magic combo.
We're dragging them along like an unwilling dog on a leash, but we'll get them there, right, buddy?
It's good.
Got to get those governments to,
Well, they're not going to take. They're not going to take. They'll never take Odessa.
No,
and they're never going to take.
Never.
And without taking Odessa and without taking Kiev, there's no path for them.
No,
there's no path forward. The empire is going to die. The Russian Empire is going to die, and it's going to die here.
Yana,
if it doesn't die from within, it's got to be carved up like the end of World War II style or something. Just end it,
I mean,
okay,
you're right with what Starsky said, and great. No, you got a point to make. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't have a point to make. I just need to reiterate something because I love reading the chat, and Yana was taking care of me for a second. Okay, someone said my speech is off. Okay, I haven't been at a birthday party. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I drink water and Pepsi Zero.
And Pepsi.
Okay, listen.
It gets high on the Lord, fellow babies.
Slept in 48 hours. Okay, and to do what we do and run these front lines, a lot of times we have to move in the dark, and we have to move at times because, guys, I'm not going to Zaporizhzhia and telling you I'm going to the front. I go straight to Karakova, straight to Robotny. We go to these places, so I can't. It's not like we just get in our car and just drive there. We'll get to a staging point, and they'll say, "Hold 2 hours, hold 2 hours. Come now." So that's our life, and I'm sure my speech is off. My whole body's off.
I bet. And I just want to clarify what I was saying about the breaking the back of the empire here in Ukraine. You and Starsky are both right. Internally, it will be in Moscow. It'll be in the Kremlin. It'll be whether it's a palace coup or whether it's folks on the street a la Yeltsin. We are on an inevitable path for the collapse of the Russian Empire. Putin is living on borrowed time. And I say that because as much about Odessa as it is about Kiev, and it breaks my heart to see losing territory in Donbass. But like I said, Great Britain had an empire. They held on to Ulster, and Britain's empire is no more. As much as I hate to see Donbass being chipped away bite by bite by bite, even if and I think ultimately when the empire does fall, there's a chance that territory is recovered. But even if they do lose Donbass, the Brits lost Ulster. The Brits held on to Ulster. They lost their empire. They're screwed. They're absolutely screwed. It's just how many more have to die, and when are we going to get resolve to minimize that body count? The outcome is, in my mind, all predetermined. It just depends how many more Ukrainians have to die.
Yeah.
That's what pisses me off.
That's where my emotion comes from, Phil, and that's why sometimes I'm very direct on what I say. I mean, and
you're on the front lines. It's a completely different thing than being
there.
Yeah, I'm right.
Okay? And I'm not on a holiday. I'm with the soldiers and with the commanders. We're there, and then I have to disseminate that information and share it the best way I can in a way that is fair, and because they want us to share. That's what you guys need to hear. The commander, I was looking at Zaporozhye nuclear power plant just across the river.
Wow.
And the commander said, Greg, keep telling the truth, because the truth is what's going to win the war for us. Please tell it and let people know this is going good over here. Over here, it's not. And the number one thing they wanted us to share is, please remember our fallen. Please remember our fallen.
Every day.
Please remember our wounded. These guys are paying, and ladies are paying incredible prices. And then on top of that, you get the trash of terror that rained down on Kharkiv. That is nonstop. And guys, Kharkiv, of course, as Slavi said, it's her home city. It's the second largest city in Ukraine. It's my second favorite city, Kharkiv, and number one, and Kherson number two. I love those two cities. And it's not just Kharkiv, guys. It happens nonstop. It could be S-300s. It doesn't make the news. 2 were killed.
We get it here. We get it here in the capital. Yeah,
it happens everywhere.
Not to that scale.
And I'm going to be an advocate where people do not lose the human cost for Ukraine in this. And if I
get a funeral.
Yeah, exactly. It motivates.
I get a funeral procession every day right outside of my window.
Every day.
At least once or twice a day, I get a funeral procession.
Wow.
Going down to Maidan, driving right past my balcony. And you know what I see also, though, is I see people on the street taking a knee. Those funeral processions, they come past on their way up to Maidan. You see people bowing, crossing themselves, taking a knee. It's exhausting here, guys. It's exhausting. But I don't see a lack of resolve. And I'll bet you anything, Greg, you see it too. People are angry, people are anxious, exhausted, but nobody questions.
Nobody questions. Nobody have to resist. Up. But Phil, think about this. Think about this. And I hope, for those watching right now and those that are in the panel that maybe you haven't been inside Ukraine, but you support it like crazy. This war is pushing 3 years. Mm-hmm. And there are tired people. That's it. They're not giving up. They're fighting as hard as ever. But a human is a human. Mm-hmm. And they're tired.
The mental toll.
And everybody's lost somebody. Everybody.
Our Shum Greg, you know Shum. So Shum, the commander of the drone battalion,
Mhm.
he recently had had a bit. I think it was like, Halia can correct me in chat. I think it was like a week or 2 weeks that he had off on vacation, and he basically spent that time running errands. Because that was good for us, because I mean, he was able to get one of the cars we brought. He was able to get like the Blue 80 power stations we brought. But that's what, and Halia and I were like, don't bother Shum, he's on holiday. But we had no one else there to do it, you know? And I'm
4
like,
days ago, Yana, just to compliment what you're saying there, or to confirm it even more, I was with Loza, and Loza guy was Pete's commander. We're very close, and I met Loza. We went there, and he's tired.
and
He's
Loza's
tired.
been, because Loza's been doing it since 2014. Not
Now
maybe
listen,
exactly 2014,
with
but yeah.
that said, yes, he said, I'm fighting till victory, but I'm tired.
Yeah.
Tired.
Also,
only imagine.
those of you who are wondering what happened to Blackie, Pete's dog, Loza and the guys adopted him. It was actually really funny because it was going to be a thing where it was, we had a few options for Blackie, and Halia was wondering, and she was like, I told Loza I would search for a place. And then when they met up, when Halia met up with Loza this past weekend, like last weekend, because it's already a weekend again. Wow, okay. That's how weeks work. They were talking, and Loza was like, I didn't want to ask in case you found someone. And Halia was like, I didn't want to ask you about Blackie in case you wanted me to find someone. So it's just good to know that the guys are happy to have Blackie, and we're happy that he is in a place where like he's surrounded by love and the people he knows. So.
That's good.
And Emma Cat is in Halia's place and very vocal and very naughty.
Dick, I need to do one of your shout outs here because I just saw it in the chat. Michelle Marr sent a donation through Bethel, through our organization, for WASP. Thank you, Michelle. It will get to him, and you will see it within a couple of weeks. Thank you.
We also had Carl Gustav in the chat through $100 into the Boom Boom Fund here for the hashtag Sugar Cube. So I'll send it over after the show there, Greg.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. Hold on. I'm doing a Pete, dropping the phone.
Halia said like Pete passed a gift onto all of us. But when Pete died, Halia's like, I see he passed that on to Greg.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, and every time I see one of these funeral processions that passes outside my window, I also always think about one of the great Ukrainian statesmen, revolutionaries, and poets, Ivan Franko, and one of his most famous poems is "The Stone Years," and I always remember that poem when I see people who pay the ultimate price. Is the idea. There's a stanza in the poem of, if you as you break at the stone, and the stone is the Russian Empire, as you are breaking at the stone, should you fall and should the axe fall, I will pick it up and I will continue to strike at the stone. It's the price that is being paid here is just astronomical, but the resolve is incredible, and they will keep fighting because they don't have a choice. Who wants to live like the Muscovites? I mean, screw that.
Yeah,
I was Yana. I know we'll move on, but when I was with Loza and I'm over there at Pete's place, and we're sitting at a table, and he's very emotional and very tired, and he looks at me and goes, I've got something for you. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, we went back to make sure if we could find anything that was Peter's. And he goes, and I found his knife. And he says, Greg, it's yours.
Wow.
This is Peter's battle knife. And be interesting for everybody to see. And I will tell you this. I will tell you just the story behind this, because I knew this knife. But Peter, this is actually a Soviet knife, a Russian knife. And when Peter had been doing his job one day, this was given to him. I don't want to be too graphic. This was given to him, and
Okay, got it.
and he started wearing it, and here's where he looped it, and he always had it on his right leg there.
Yeah.
And Loza said we went back and we found it, and Greg, this is for you. So I'm going to cherish this forever. I keep it right with me now.
Indeed.
So Pete lives on,
When-
man.
Oh yeah.
When Halja went to the east, I was telling her it was, I think, that day that Kramatorsk was hit. It was the Sunday, I think, that Krama was hit, and I got stressed. I was like, "Oh my word, are you okay? I heard it got hit." She's like, "No, I'm only going there tomorrow, or like later that evening." And I was like, and she's like, "Oh, also I'm going to the military zone." I'm like, "Oh, okay. I would have been worried if you were going to the civilian area, but you're going to the military zone. You're going to be safe there because we know Russia targets civilians." And I think that's just like
I
the
tried
sad
to
reality.
connect with her, but we missed
I
each other
know.
by a few hours. But yeah, I will tell you this, and I do want to throw a big compliment out. Yeah, Yana, you and Galina are doing an amazing job with Project Constantine.
Mhm.
And as soon as I get these armored vehicles delivered, and by the way, they're approaching the border.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're going to jump in and we're going to finish that Project 22.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's
Yeah,
no
we-
that will not be finished.
Thank you.
We could have said this earlier in the show, but thank you, Greg, for giving me a reminder. The second come together of the Portuguese battalion of the NAFO 69 Sniffing Brigade and the Shills have closed out the fundraiser. Second truck is purchased. So right now, everything is going to be shunted over to Project 22 because there's a big goal to be met there. So we best get on it.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to smash it.
Let
Yeah.
me give you a bit of an
Absolutely.
update on that.
Yeah.
Because we only post the videos once the item is with the soldier, okay, or has been delivered to the brigade. So far, one car has been delivered. In total, we have 2 cars on their way. They're actually in line at the Polish-Ukrainian border right now. 2 cars on their way. In total, we've bought 6 cars from this campaign. We bought we just the other day we ordered 5 Mavic 3 Pro drones for the guys, and the Starlinks that we have, more of them are being able to be used thanks to the Starlink parents who we have. So we have more of those that are being able to work. We've got the Bluettis. We've ordered more, like more of those as well. And in case you guys are wondering, like, how we buy the cars, like in the UK, and we get them to a point where they're good quality, but if there's a dent in it or whatever, that doesn't get fixed. We take that to Ukraine because the repair there is a lot cheaper. We basically only have to pay for the parts, and then that is what we pay for there. So yeah, it is really.
Yeah, aren't the UK cars on the other side, the drivers? How does that translate to Ukrainian drivers?
Sorry?
Aren't the drivers on the other side?
Yeah,
The
but
guys from UK?
apparently it's not that big a problem. According to John, who we work with, who helps us with the with buying the vehicles in the UK. He said with the Ukrainian soldiers he's spoken to, they actually prefer the UK ones because the Russian sniper is used to shooting at the driver in a Ukrainian car. So what they do is they put a dummy in the front seat, in the front passenger seat, and then they drive the car, and then it kind of distracts the Russian snipers.
Very impressive.
They also
Yeah.
fly the FPVs into the left side, or try to get there to the driver on the left side, even with FPVs. The 4 armored vehicles we're bringing are also, of course, right-hand drive. And I saw somebody in the chat, will Rick see one? Guys, let me tell you something about Rick the Ukrainian. I love that kid. I love that little skinny beanpole kid. I love him because he is honest, he is transparent, and he is a classy Ukrainian young man. And this is how classy he is. We've got 4 of these armored vehicles, and these are military-grade armored vehicles, Kasivacs, Peach Dream, going to the front. And Rick asked me, Greg, can I be one of the convoy drivers? Because Jane will be in one, I'll be in one. And I said, Rick,
could he reach the pedals?
Well, I don't know.
Rick is tall.
I'm 6'4". I think Rick's 7'2". But I want to throw, because we got a lot of good news working here, and we started rough. We're going to end good, okay? But let me tell you how good Rick is. Rick called me this week, and I said, Rick, they're coming, buddy. I said, if you want to drive one, you make sure your mobilization papers are right, and can you drive on the right side? Because I do a lot of driving in Africa and Tanzania, and it's all on the right side, so I'm used to it. And he goes, it's on the right side. I said, he goes, oh man. You know what? I'm going to take a class. Listen to me. He called me 2 days ago from his class. The kid, he went and took a class on how to drive on the right-hand side and was trained. And he called me and says, I got it. I'm ready. I said, Rick,
you know what I would have done? I would have bought one of those PlayStation steering wheels with the little gear shifter and just put it on the other side and got her all figured out, right?
Not good enough for him. He is so caring.
That's awesome. Yeah.
About really being prepared. And he went, took a class, and was trained how to drive on the right side or a right drive. And he called me, goes, I'm in the class right now. Hey, can I drive one? I said, Rick, I promised you would be a driver, and we'll stream it and video it and all of that. Awesome. He goes, my class is done. I'm comfortable. Let's go. So, just kudos to Rick. That's
awesome.
I love
Rick. Is awesome. He's so pure.
He's my buddy.
So pure.
He had that concert tonight with Aziza. It was really good.
Mm.
I haven't got to watch that yet. I was busy pre-show, so
that girl's talented, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, where do we want to go for? Oh, two things.
Can I show you guys? Can I show you guys let me send it to Dick. The patch we designed for the Star parents. They get their own patch. Dick, do you want me to send it to you on Discord or?
Yeah, sure. Either one.
WhatsApp,
yeah.
Discord, WhatsApp.
Either one. Whatever.
Okay. Let me quickly get this here. I'll pop it on WhatsApp for you. Okay.
All right.
So it's a Ukrainian designer who we worked with, and I told her what the Starlink adoption program is. And then I was like, we want a patch to give to people, but we want to work in Ukrainian mythology. And she did some research and she came up with an idea. There's a figure in Ukrainian mythology named Magura, and she's a winged warrior woman who brings strength and victory. And that was kind of the concept behind this. So, yeah.
Here, 1 second here. I just have some reason There's nobody screen sharing, but it's still the one that's on.
Mine off, I'm sure. Sorry.
Okay.
Nope, I'm just messing you up.
I think the
Yeah.
commander's screen sharing right now.
Okay, hold on a second here. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
I don't
so
know what
that's the
happened there, but
patch.
yeah.
Very
You know,
cool.
Yana, now that you mention it, I know there's a lot of articles about it, but there's in Ukrainian mythology, there's a lot of like mystical characters like that.
Mhm.
But a lot of their stories is about overcoming and being heroes. And all of those stories are helping Ukrainians, I mean, shape who Ukraine is today. And
Yeah.
guys, if you have like time to check out all these characters, they're very, very interesting. I know Mafka is one of my favorite ones. So yeah, take some time, do some research. It's very interesting. There's so many different stories with them, a lot of them in this mystical forest, but it kind of shapes who Ukrainians are today, Ukrainian mythology, to understand Ukrainians a lot better and why Ukrainians will never be slaves to Russia. It's the worst thing that could happen. And
Mhm.
Good shout.
Never again.
Exactly.
Um,
Couple of shout outs here. The Weasel threw in a super sticker with the little pear dude doing the big thumbs up. Let's see if Apple can figure this out. Come on, where's there it is. See, I knew I could do it. And then Richard McKinley came in with a $10 super chat as well. So thank you guys. Let me just make sure that we're caught up on everything else. Okay, I am, but I've got something else I'll be bringing up on the screen here in a minute. So, okay, here we go.
Yeah, so Halia and I also had some patches made. Yeah,
Okay,
I
let me
think
get
you
this.
the video. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the whole default I have for being able to click things and bring them up just seems to be failing today. I don't quite understand why. But it's one of those things. Not everything's perfect. Like it's making me go through the big list of apps instead of just being able to open it like I should. It's kind of strange. I don't really understand what's going on. It's probably the computer needs a restart, and that's exactly the perfect thing when you're in the middle of a show. So that would be that's great, right? Okay, here I got this all queued up with the music or with the audio and everything. Play.
Hey
There we
guys.
go.
Amazing day. I took two types. I like it. I like it a lot. Such kind. It's printed. It's embroidered. It's better. But at least I like them both. Printed I have 20. Looks like
Those are cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Very.
That's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. The printed one is very clean and the embroidered one's got serious style. So it's one of those things
Yeah.
where most people are going to want both.
So it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
very much.
Yeah. And one of our volunteers in like our representative, he's in Belgium, and they had their annual fair, and he had it like he was very far ahead. He was like booking a table at a really good spot kind of thing, set up a stand, and it's just Ukraine and PK. And money raised. But he told me as they were setting up, someone came up to them and was like, what are you doing? Why are you supporting Ukraine? You're going to start World War III. And I'm like, okay, in case anyone wants to know who started World War III, it was Look in Belgium with his Ukraine stand. Okay, that's who started World War III. Guy in Belgium with a stand.
Oy, 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 oy.
Yeah. Honestly,
No.
especially everything that's happened recently, I'm still amazed that people still obsess so much over red lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think after everything that Ukraine has proved that there are no red lines, it
Exactly.
seems like especially United States are even more obsessing over these red lines. And it's so wild to me because everything that Russia has done, like the worst, like they're already doing a genocide on Ukraine. What more of a red line could you possibly freaking have?
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
pretty much the worst. That is the worst. Like,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
makes me so angry. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but like,
And it
it's
makes
Like
me
we
angry
don't want
too. And
escalation. Like they're already
what
killing people. Are they gonna? They're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
no, it's
You
not
know,
about
like-
any of that. It's American domestic politics.
Yeah.
It's the Yanks aren't gonna make any big moves or decisions until after the election.
Mhm.
You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's we're caught. We're all being held hostage by the American election. So
Yeah.
Here's
it pisses me off that Ukrainians are dying because of our dysfunction internally within the United States.
Yeah.
Phil.
But that's what it
Look,
is.
Let me say something right quick. One thing that has me concerned. Oh, yeah, that has me concerned. That I hope this doesn't end up being the situation. I feel concerned that the election will finish, and I do believe Kamala Harris will win. I do not believe that Donald Trump will be winning this election personally.
Your lips to
but
God's ears.
yeah, but here's the
Amen,
thing.
brother.
My concern is obviously if Trump did win, then it's going to be a shit show. But my concern
If
is
Trump
Harris
wins, the educational system needs a freaking overhaul because that's just screwed.
Yeah, but then we haven't heard a whole lot, a few things here and there, but not heavy signaling of major support from Harris administration after the election. My concern is that there's going to be so much drama kicked up by the Trump side, with trying to take things into the courts or some other form of destabilizing things, kicking and screaming basically about not winning, that it will become a bigger distraction.
I think your average American is a bit sick of that at this point and wants to get back to raw, real democracy. I do believe that if there's any sort of shitstorm after the election, if Harris wins from the MAGA side, I think that the American people will just go, look, enough's enough. We voted. She won. I think there'll be more of a public uproar this time. I damn well hope so.
It's
I
more
certainly hope so.
MAGA.
And
It's
as
not-
far,
it's not
let
gonna
me
let it
address
go.
let me address the administration issue, and my fellow Americans can either back me up or contest this with me. Having Harris putting Ukraine in her acceptance speech twice, good sign. Waltz is very pro-Ukrainian. I mean, he even to the point of making, I think it was, he made St. Paul a sister city with Chernihiv. It will be a far more pro-Ukrainian administration, and without Trump looming over the landscape and threatening a return to the Oval, which would be potentially a destruction of the American experiment, without that looming large on our political landscape, I mean, geez, maybe I am being overly optimistic, but I just, until he is in our rearview mirror, Putin's puppet needs, him leering over our body politic. That's got to end, and then I do think that Harris and Waltz will be a far more aggressive and proactive.
I want to.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say I completely agree with you that There's signaling that seems positive. It just hasn't been heavy on the rhetoric, and maybe that's because they're on the campaign trail. Got to
Yes.
focus on the domestic stuff before.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right now, it's
the
about
GOP
getting them into the
MAGA
ballot,
type-
right?
Yeah,
but the MAGA types would eat that up. They
Yeah,
would eat that up and turn it
Absolutely.
into warmongers.
Yeah, but-
Look at these warmongers.
But I guess
I think-
oh, sorry. I was
going to say, I think
go
that
ahead.
we lose focus because we obsess over the presidential run.
Yeah.
I think the key that's going to decide the outcome here is what happens with the Senate and the House. If
Yep.
Agree.
You need a
100%.
clear path through, don't you?
Right.
Right.
If the Democrats can take those two, then the floodgates are open and we can probably get through Congress whatever the administration wants to support Ukraine.
And
Historically,
But
though,
we
so
do need
much
a
of
strong
what-
executive. We still need a strong executive.
Oh
And
Yeah.
we still need that direct. And we need clearly we need a new national security advisor.
oh yeah.
Probably a new
hell
tech
yeah.
guy.
Oh yeah, no. And here's the thing, because it has happened before, but it is rare for an administration to take the executive and both houses, the House and the Senate and Congress, all three be under control of just one.
But
So my-
this
my con-
wave could take us there, right? There's an emotional part to this wave, and it could get pulled off.
It could, but I guess what I'm saying is I really want that to happen. I hope that happens because I do believe that would be best in terms of support to Ukraine. But if it didn't happen, if only 2 out of 3, the executive, the presidency and the House, or the presidency and the Senate, wound up going to Democrats, and you still had MAGA throwing a wrench in, somewhere in Congress, what actions would the Harris administration be willing to take to still get, purely with executive orders or executive power that they have available to them, Ukraine the resources that it needs? That's what I imagine.
I've made the analogy, and I don't know if it's going to be accurate or not, but the Iron Lady needed the Falklands. Maybe Harris can turn Ukraine into,
the Falklands for the
I
U.S.
may be a woman. I may be a woman in the Oval, but I can be commander in chief as well.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I like when in her big speech at the end of the whole national convention there, when she talked about restoring America to being the most lethal fighting force. Like
That
her
was a good
language was very powerful, man.
What I'm trying to determine is how strong is the magnetic pull that emanates from the United States, and I won't give Prof's home area, but from his region where he lives, to pull our entire conversation the moment he gets in the chat politically. It's like the magnet of the world. Prof. Gert has started pulling us magnetically. So hello to Prof.
Prof is akin to a black hole. The guy really got some gravity going on.
As I need a high five to Alex for the $10 donation for Sugar Cubes. Here's what I would say about all of that. It's August the 31st. We have September. We have October. We have the first week of November. We have January inauguration. We've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
And the way our world is right now, and the way the United States is right now, and the European Union, and the war in Ukraine, I'm much more comfortable predicting that this city in Ukraine is going to struggle or this place is going to do good because I'm there with the soldiers on the ground versus predicting what's going to happen in our crazy world right now. What we need, of course, and all agreeing is the support of what is right. And what is right is standing for freedom, truth, justice, hope, and righteousness, and standing for Ukraine. That's what's right now. And that is a major topic that affects global relations. Global. We see the division in the sand. We see the relationships between Russia and China and Korea and North Korea and Iran. We see these things. We see the United States and Europe and we even see the divide with South American nations now, with Brazil making big news and Venezuela rattling the chain, whatever they have to rattle, but they rattle. Mexico making their statements. We just see a divided world, and we need strong leaders, and we need people that can bring people together versus divide them. And that's what I'm looking for.
And that's Russia's biggest tactic, is to destabilize pretty much. They have a foot in the door.
So division, right? And no offense to anybody, but in America, there's this, the American League versus the National League. You got Republicans, Democrats. There's always like the Camaro versus the Mustang. Like, everybody loves an us versus them story. So all you got to do is sew that in, right?
We love an underdog. We love an underdog. We love a spunky, rebel who is going to fight against an empire. You can say what you want about American empire, but we tend to be pretty uncomfortable with the concept. The Russians love empire, so that has to be obliterated.
They're living for it.
Oh, let me just add on to
Darren Gertis. I'm coming after you, dude. Hold on. You stuck your tongue out at me. I made my point, and then you withdrew it. So I do appreciate that. Listen, I want to support what's right. I want to look at the issues and look at the person. Our whole world and landscape has changed. We're not in the 80s anymore. We're not in the 60s anymore. We're in a whole new world of
He's picking the guitar player eras. Notice that?
Yeah, I do. But we have to look actually at issues and what we support and what we stand for. And that's how you have to push.
Spot on. Do you believe in the concept of human beings having inalienable rights or not?
Yeah.
Because the Russians do not.
No.
They 100%.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the Russians think it is naive. They think it is a foolish concept that is falsely been created by, in their words, Masons and Jews, I think is what Alexander Dugin said. The concept of inalienable rights.
The only people that
believe
have
it or
rights
not,
in Russia are oligarchs.
In Russia, you are born no better than a chicken or a cow. You are chattel for the state. You do not have human rights. They do not believe in it. So what kind of world do we want to live in?
Dick, this is your channel and your program, the Shields, where you bring all these people together. But I do know that you're a little bit looser than my channel.
Yeah.
And definitely much looser than Professor Gertis with the bow tie. But he just stuck his tongue out at me again. Can I stick my tongue out at him on your channel?
Absolutely. Here.
Professor Gertis.
Children, working with children. Behave yourselves, gentlemen. These are serious topics.
Hey, it's nice to smile and to laugh.
If you don't laugh, you're crying.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Here, I'll let an expert describe the situation properly.
A, you can never go too far. B, if I'm gonna get busted, it is not gonna be by a guy like that.
So you got to have the right buttons. You just got to have the right buttons. Time wise, we're still okay. So who's where and what are we doing?
I have something I'd like to interject. There were two technically separate, but I think related items that I saw in the news recently. Number one, Russian losses, not casualties, killed, are up to 5,000 a week right now. And secondly, in June, the disapproval ratings by Russian polls, and we know that Russian polls are run by pro-Putin factions. The disapproval rating Putin had in June was 18%. That rose to 23% in July And in August, it's now at 28%. So if under a very heavily weighted thumb on the scales, if Putin's disapproval right now is over a quarter of the population, and the losses are that high, I think the Russian people are finally starting to wake up to the fact that this is a really stupid conflict, and something needs to be done to extricate themselves from this massacre.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Now, whether that will translate into action, I can't say. But I'm just saying we're starting to see that trend. And I remember at the start of this thing, there was a thing that came out from the International Study of Strategic Warfare. And somebody said, do not expect to start seeing the dial begin to move until Russian losses start going in excess of 5,000 a month. And we're finally at that point, not a month, a week. So we're there.
You know, I've got a question also kind of related to that, because there's been a lot of questions of what will it take for the Russian public to demand something, do something, or for an oligarch, someone with power, to do something in Russia. And, you know, we're still not quite there yet. Oh, yeah, or both.
I think you need to have somebody emerge as a leader to mobilize the Russian people to make something happen.
That's a good point, right?
Yeah.
You need a focal point for the change, right?
Right. And that's one of the reasons you see Putin acting so aggressively to stomp out anybody who starts rising up to the level of even a mild potential threat to him. Even if they're a loyal friend. If he thinks you're a threat, you fall out a window.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's very, very
that's
paranoid.
The problem.
Yes.
He's made it so he's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And so removing him from the equation removes the center of gravity. And I take your point, Commander, that we need to find, or they need to find somebody who will lead them in overthrowing Putin. But I'm going to be slightly cynical here, and I don't think that person is going to emerge. I think we're going to see.
That's my terror.
He took him out already. What's his name?
I think we're going to see a very serious. Who? Navalny?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
He kills anybody that that challenges, and the entire structure of the state is built around him. So I am afraid that somebody isn't going to rise and lead the Russian people to revolution. I think there's going to be, more likely than not, a palace coup. He will be the Silovaki, and then the boyars, the traditional, power brokers in Russia, will then start fighting amongst themselves until a dominant one emerges, and that's going to be really bloody and scary.
Yeah.
Well, that's how Napoleon ends up on top, right?
I was just gonna say, Russians, they always had their tsars. They don't know what freedom is, even if it hit them. So to expect any sort of action from them is pointless at this point. Like, there's not going to be action from it. I mean, we do have some good Russians on the ground in Russia helping, but there's not that many of them.
Well, and here's the thing. That's why I was saying, or possibly an oligarch. The implication being someone who organizes a small but influential subset of the Russian population.
And we do have that. The guy is in Ukraine.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
No, he is Russian. He's in Ukraine. He was the only one that voted against the annexation of Crimea.
Oh, okay. The one that I know of is.
He's a political leader of the Freedom Russia Legion.
Cesar. Yeah, I know who you're speaking of.
Yeah.
And I actually have interesting opinions about him. He's as an individual, he's very interesting. But
he actually just got drone shot at his house at residence in Kiev.
Oh, really?
Right.
Specifically at him,
Yeah.
I remember that. Was that 2 weeks ago or something?
Yep.
Even
Mhm.
before he arrived in Ukraine, he had a very interesting history back in Russia. If you look him up, information about him. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing a little bit. My original question was, uh, if anything is going to happen, because remember, guys, we're talking about an internal collapse. For an internal collapse to happen, eventually, even if it seems impossible, someone inside has to do something. Otherwise, it never happens. So my question is, if another war does break out, because we've seen damage control to prevent this from happening, but say a civil war in Belarus, which doesn't seem likely, but with the right cards played, I could see something happening there, or something in Georgia with the upcoming election in October. Say they have a Maidan
Not going
moment.
well in Georgia.
It's not.
Going
I know.
well in Georgia.
Yeah, I know. But if something were to happen unexpectedly, do you guys think that another protracted war like what's happening in Ukraine in another surrounding country might put too much pressure on the current Russian system?
They're so overcommitted in Ukraine right now that if a second conflict
Because no one
able
expected it.
to
Hold on.
commit
Commander froze
enough
for a second
strength
there.
to accomplish anything is
Commander, you froze for a second and then
Sorry.
kicked back in. Do that one over again.
okay. Sure. I was saying, I think if a second crisis arises, Russia is currently so overcommitted in Ukraine, they don't have reserves to throw at that crisis. And so, yeah, it would cause all sorts of internal chaos and disruption. And that could well be the thing that triggers some sort of leader to emerge and say, yeah, we're done with this crap.
I mean,
But
they're already
I also-
between the devil and the dark deep blue sea between Kursk and Donbass. They can't to add a third front. Forget
Yeah.
about it.
And
But-
I'm reminded of what happened in 1941 when the Germans invaded. For the first week, Stalin was convinced that the generals and the Politburo were so against him because he'd made such a colossal strategic blunder that they were
Yeah.
going to haul him out and shoot him. And so he was in his dacha, drunk the whole damn time, and nobody did anything. Nobody was sending orders to the front to direct the war, which is one of the reasons the Germans did so incredibly well in that first week. There was nobody in charge. Everybody was waiting for the great man to come and save them. The
Right.
great man was drunk off his ass. And eventually Stalin realized, hey, they're not going to do this. I've killed everybody that would possibly rise up against me.
Right.
The question is, has Putin done the same thing right now? So
Right.
if that crisis arises, will there be somebody to stand up?
Also,
Yeah.
when Soviet
My-
Union fell, it happened out of nowhere. Nobody
Yeah.
saw it coming. It was a matter of days.
Yeah.
What
No.
you saying there, Greg?
3 generations, guys.
Yeah.
It's 3 generations. If Putin was gone today, if y'all think you wake up to a new Russia tomorrow, I'm sorry,
No.
but you're mistaken.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta-
100%.
It's like,
Hold
I'm
on,
gonna-
Greg, one sec.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Bropey in the chat. And, we try to be very lenient with people in our live chat, and we don't really time people out and screw with you unless it gets to be too much. And we always go at hate speech right away. But Bropey, you're going crazy. You're literally a keyboard warrior out to simply piss people off, and you're doing it on purpose. There was a chat where somebody listed off like a whole whack of different world leaders, and you instantly went on that person and called them out as something very nasty. So your last warning is already happening. I'm telling you right now, and then the mods are going to shut your punk ass up because Jesus, I gave you so many, options to be cool, but you simply couldn't do it. So stick that up your rectum. Anyway, sorry, Greg, go ahead.
Well, welcome to the Shields. Now that I've been shocked out of my underwear. Okay, so listen.
Are you awake now?
Sorry, Pastor.
No, listen. 3 generations. I'm going to be dropping a video tomorrow, hopefully. Let me ask this question, okay? And I would like to hear your answer, and Slavi, for sure, you and Phil, who has so much experience, and you're Ukrainian. In southern Ukraine, Nikopol, Berislav, Taginka, Novakakovka, pushing towards Kherson, 35 kilometers north of the river. That little zone right there. What percentage of people that are still there do you think are waiting for the Russians to come and
Save them?
Yes, I know the
Negative.
answer. I just met with
What do they
just
call
met
them?
with the administrator of the Mykolaiv region. I know the answer.
My guess would be somewhere in the vicinity of like 30%.
60
Wow.
of those that are remaining. Make sure I'm clear on this.
Of those that are remaining.
those-
Yeah, that
Those that are remaining, 60%.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I'm not, that is not to deflate people. This is just so people understand
Oh,
when you're dealing with generations and generations and generations, it takes time to wash that out. And
Mhm.
that is why I go back to the Starsky argument, which I completely agree with. There will have to be a major internal Russian failure of their system to accelerate that timeline. Just a transition of power, and we keep going the way we're going. We now have a new border, and we're taking, let's just say, Lugansk, Donetsk. We come to some agreement, and now this is Russia, that's Ukraine. Okay, we'll go from there for the next 30 years. That will do nothing.
Yeah.
They have to implode internally for it to be faster than 3 generations.
Yeah.
Well, it's Professor Snyder's hypothesis that an imperial power must lose an imperial war for it to advance.
I was just thinking we were having,
Agreed.
It's,
They
it's
gotta,
very,
the
it's very
empire
good.
has to die. It's long overdue.
He
Correct.
also said in that same speech that it's gonna look weird when Russia falls, but do we care? We shouldn't care. But it seems like a lot of people, and even us having a conversation, what that's gonna look like, it's not up to us. It's, for them to figure it out.
I'll give
it's
y'all
gonna
They're going to fall
Weird,
back to the
whatever.
Principality of Muscovy, I hope.
Yeah.
That's what I hope is going to happen.
Yeah.
Bunch of bagmen for the Golden Horde. Let them be that again.
But it's a very good speech by Timothy Snyder.
Mm.
I did a whole
It's
thing on it.
spot on.
and
Well, I
Yeah,
really want to
spot on.
interview him. He's
And-
one of the people I really want to interview. But Greg, addressing what you were talking about, and I'm just about to run out of battery power on my ring light. Although, shit, that needs. There we go. Let me address something quickly with what the point you make. I interviewed an old woman in Kherson, and she was surrounded by pro-Ukrainians. I mean, like a Ukrainian. So we were delivering food, and it was with the chief rabbi of Kherson, and he had a adjutant with him who had a weapon and all the rest of it. So take that into consideration. But we interviewed her, and even in those conditions, she was saying, "This is all those Galicians' fault. It's all the Zelensky junta and all the rest of it." We got along fine with the Russians. There was never a problem. We were one big happy Soviet family sort of thing. And we walked away from the interview and we had a discussion
Wow.
about it. And we're like, this woman, she was a nurse. She had been a nurse. She retired just as the Soviet Union was collapsing. Her professional career was pretty much over. She's now probably in her 80s, whatever it was. But she was there at the kind of tail end, the Soviet Union. She was already retiring.
Hmm.
She was looking backwards. She wasn't looking forwards. And a lot of people of that age
Great
are
point.
definitely looking back and seeing it with halcyon eyes. The younger people in this country, especially in the parts that we don't go into, the non-occupied parts. Although I hear people coming in from, I go to Mariupol centers. One of the things I do in this country is every time I go to a new city, I go to the Mariupol Center. Every major city has one. And you talk to people who came out of Mariupol. You talk to people who escaped, even before 2014, came out from Donetsk. There's a widespread rejection of Russia, but it is undeniable that there are people who either of that age of this old woman I interviewed in Kherson, or people who are whatever thing that they've latched onto with the Russians. I hear talk of like the whole decadent West with the LGBTQ issues and all that kind of stuff.
Oh God.
But generally,
Phil.
I so appreciate the statement you made there. I'm not sure you realized how brilliant that was.
oh, thank you.
Well,
My ego will take it.
I'll push that ego right now. This will help people understand. The older generations look and live through their rearview mirror,
Oh yeah.
and
Yep.
the younger are looking through the windshield. And that's how life needs to be lived here in Ukraine, and it's happening. And pushing forward, there's a reason your windshield is massive and your rear view mirror is small. You look through the rear view mirror to keep a check, see where you've come from, but you're focused out the front windshield to where you're going. And
But as every old man knows, your speakers should be behind you because the music from your day was always better.
But the reality is that
I interviewed.
very, very good
I also
point.
interviewed ages ago when I was living in Lviv at the beginning, Professor Hitzok, who's a colleague of Snyder's. He teaches at the Lviv Catholic University, and he made the point that unlike all these other nations that are trying to hold on to their past legacy, whether it's Make America Great Again or whether it's let's restore the Russian Empire, these are countries that have a past behind them, a glorious past behind them. Ukraine doesn't have that. I mean, it does way back in its past, but modern day Ukraine has a golden future that is looking ahead towards, and that's a completely different attitude in a society than what we see in these places that are desperate to grab onto past glory. Ukraine has got a bright future ahead of it, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful analogy.
Damn right.
Absolutely.
I've got to hop off, guys. It's
Yeah.
getting late here, and I haven't eaten.
We're-
Before I leave, however, Commander, as a civilian, but as a civilian who spent a lot of time with men and women in uniform, what happened in Arlington was disgusting. And as a civilian, to a man who wore the uniform proudly, thank you for your service. And that doesn't represent the vast majority of Americans. It was deplorable. I know people who are I saw people die in Iraq and Afghanistan who are interred at Arlington, and I'm still angry about what I saw this week. And so, thank you for your service.
Yeah. And not to
Cheshire grin motherfucker
Yeah,
with his thumb
yeah.
up. I mean, for God's sake. Disgusting.
Bill, if you got time next week, we got a seat for you, buddy. Just let me know.
All right, pal. Yep, absolutely. You all take care. Slava Ukraina. Good luck, Greg. You stay safe, buddy.
I'll be
You're way
looking
too important to lose, buddy.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
safe. I'll keep when I loop through Kyiv next time.
Absolutely. We'll bring you in the studio. We'll sit you down.
As long as we can have a nice
Tomorrow's
Pepsi.
Yeah. We'll have I'll have a nice chilled Pepsi for you. Tomorrow's episode comes out at 8 p.m. Kiev time. I think that is, if I'm doing my math right, 1800 London, and I think
10 p.m. Pacific.
10 o'clock on the Pacific. It's an interview or conversation, as we do on my program, with Kiev Post's senior defense correspondent Stefan Korshak. We talk a lot about a lot of stuff. His take on Petrovsk is a little bit different than yours, Greg, but you're there. Mind you, he's got good links with the Ukrainian military. So, but we talk about a wide range of topics. So I hope you'll tune in.
Cool.
Thanks,
and
guys,
Phil,
for the time. I appreciate it. Yeah, sure.
I'll be bugging you about a couple of possible guests as well soon.
I'm the more the merrier. I am going back to the States to cast my ballot.
Yes.
So I will be leaving Kiev in the third week of October, because early voting in Michigan, because I changed my registration to be in a contested, a purple state. My district in particular in Michigan is contested, so I want to cast my ballot firsthand. So I'll be out of here latter part of October, but if I can get some interviews and episodes in the bank while I'm away, because I'll be away for about 3 weeks, I'm all for it. So yeah,
awesome.
Send them my direction, Dick.
Awesome. Take care, buddy.
Right, thanks,
we will
everybody.
see you soon.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, cheers then.
Bye. Bye.
All right. So let's see here. We're hitting 2 hours, so we might as well do the whole go around the table and say our thoughts and whatnot and shout outs and stuff. Speaking of shout outs, Kobe Jack in the chat threw a direct $40 donation in. Have a beer for all your hard work. Cheers, Kobe Jack. That's the kind of shout out that I can really get down with. Thank you very much. So, Yana, let's start with yourself and we'll work our way around the hive here.
Yeah. So, thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me here. We've got 2 cars on the road at the moment at the border. I sent Greg a photo of what the border looks like. So, yeah, please continue to support us. And we are so close to monetization on YouTube. So we really need those watch hours. So just please. But yeah.
Well, you have 5 streams up today from 1, so that should help.
I was going to do it, but
thank you to those who actually stuck around for those.
And if you want to, give me a shout between now and your next stream, and we can go over a few things.
Thanks. Thanks.
Second shout out here, Blonde Bombsheller, super chat in $10 too. Greg, Alex wants to give for a sugar cube and says high 5 to you, and of course Xenia as well. Love you guys.
High 5 to the man in Cape May, New Jersey.
Awesome. So let's see here. We'll go to Secular Sakai next. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you for being here, everybody. As always, it was a great stream. I guess on my end, with Tridents Against Tyrants, we're still doing our long-term fundraiser for the 110th Mechanized Brigade. So if anyone would like to show some assistance to them, please pop into the channel. We're also getting pretty close to monetization with watch hours, and I've got new recording equipment. So I'll be putting up some videos soon. And beyond that, please show support to what the Shills are doing here for the Portuguese battalion and for the work that Project Constantine and Greg are both doing. Very important. Thanks for being here. Slava Ukraini.
Awesome. Cool. Commander, what do you think, buddy?
Well, 2 things. Number 1, I won't be here next week and probably the week after that.
Oh, that's right. Commander's going under the knife because he's getting bionics, man.
He's getting breast implants?
I realize. No. Knee replacement.
Oh.
And so I'm sure that my absence will cause great celebration among your viewership. Your numbers will go up by hundreds. Secondly, my usual recitation of please make sure that you contact your elected officials and continue to urge support for Ukraine. Without that, if the pressure dries up, they'll start focusing on other things, and we'll end up with another gap period like we had earlier this summer. So I think that's extremely important. Other than that, good show.
I couldn't agree more. Great shouts. Great shouts. Slavi, what do you think? Shout outs, thoughts, and wrap ups. Take the floor.
Yeah, I have a couple of words to say for those that think that they're in escalation management or fear of these red lines. And this is very, very important for everyone to understand. So Russia's goal is total elimination of the Ukrainian state and the destruction of Ukrainian civil society. If their objective is to annihilate, there is no retaliation, and nothing Ukraine does can provoke Russia any further. They already seek complete eradication of Ukrainians.
Mhm.
So that being said, on some good news, there are a lot of Ukrainians that are here for Burning Man and advocate. Yeah, they're advocating for Ukraine, of course. So shout out to them, working hard, and keep believing in Ukraine, keep supporting Ukraine. Slava Ukraini.
Heroin Slava. Good words. Awesome. Greg, what do you think, buddy? Give us something cool.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for the birthday wishes. I turned 52 years young today. Also, I would like to give a big shout out to Cheryl Waitley for welcoming to the Democratic Party Professor Gerdes and myself. We're going to love it. So, Cheryl, thank you for that. But
Reagan just rolled over, baby.
But Reagan is mad at me right now. But in all seriousness,
I think Reagan would be mad at Trump too.
It's really a good. I think it was a very good panel, good balance. We shared truth. We talked about some negatives. We talked about some positives. We gave support and the messages back to all the people in the community watching, saying thank you from the soldiers. So it was a great stream. And I'm thankful for that. Tomorrow, I'm going to drop 3 videos. One will be a direct thank you from the 77th. It's really good video. But you're also going to see the conditions they're having to battle in and why they're so appreciative. It's really good. Secondly, I'm going to drop a video on the ecological disaster down south. Yeah. I'm standing in the middle of a lake. It's pretty interesting. And then I'm also going to be dropping a video on kind of a topic we were talking about there at the end. How many people are supporting Russia that are remaining, waiting for them. And I gave the numbers. That number's not from me, guys. That number was directly from regional administration because we asked them. And I was expecting 40 to 50, and he said it's 60. But that's of those that remain. But I'm going to show some villages that are completely abandoned, empty. And Zhenya, when we were filming, he goes, man, I feel like I'm in a zombie apocalypse movie, and this is my nation. And so it'll be very interesting for people to see and further, just make you more well-rounded and knowledgeable on why supporting Ukraine is so vitally important. It has to happen.
Yeah.
So thank you, Dick, as always.
Well, and thanks to everybody who joins on the panel. We have people that can join all the time, like basically everybody here. We have some other people that can't quite always join. If you're wondering, Starsky wanted to make it today, but he's on a travel mission to go and do a couple of things that are very positive video experiences that will help support. So, you can't always make it, right? Great shout out to Phil Ittner again, on the Edge podcast. He's doing some really good interviews. He's got a proper in-person studio in Kyiv going. It's great stuff. I highly suggest you be checking them out. Huge thanks to our team. Annette, everybody knows CF Beauty on the Shills account there. She runs the mod teams and everything. but she also puts together this big document for us that lays out all the more recent news. And anytime that we're not unsure, because, we've got a lot to talk about and you need to get a focus going, you can just pick something. It's really, really great. So huge thanks there. Everybody give her a big shout out in the chat. We got Chris Lundy, Crazy Cat, Leslie Bowe, Liam Wakefield, and Super Chat Matt on the team today as well. So big thanks, everybody, because, I'm in the middle of the conversation. Imagine if I had to do what they do for us. I would just sit there and read the live chat all day and go, so and so. Yeah, it would just, so the team is huge, right? Thanks to the team. And remember, if you're somebody who's donating and helping, it's a huge thanks from us. We can't thank you more, because we make sure every single penny that we can scrape up gets sent over. But if you're like, oftentimes I am not even able to because things are tight, just keep it in the public mind. Share the stream out on other social medias. Go to Slavi's channel, to Project Constantine, to the Greg Terry Experience, to Tridents Against Tyrants, and click the share button and share it on social media, because that brings more people into the family and possibly more donators, more supporters, and more people to share the word. Right?
Amen.
So let's do it. Right?
Social currency is free. You got an abundance of it.
Well said.
B Lady, I saw your messages. I will check that gentleman out. Thank you.
Awesome. So thanks for joining us, everybody. We're lucky because we get to do shows like this to, entertain, educate, and hopefully just spend some time with all our friends out there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Slava Ukraine.
Heroin Slava.
Heroin Slava.
Good night, everybody.
It's over. Go home. Go.